One of the best things about the NBA is how much one player can take over a game. It's a much more individual sport than football and baseball, and even though it's still a team sport, there is nothing better than watching the best players in the world explode for 50 and 60-point games. So in this video, we are going to be talking about the greatest individual performances from 10 different NBA legends. Now, this is not just based off of the highest scoring games of their careers. There's a lot more factors I considered, like how important the games were and how their all-around stats looked, but some all-time scoring achievements will definitely make this list as well. But enough rambling, let's get into the list.
They do have a timeout, decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown, bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining!
Even though he had already won his unanimous MVP and proved to be one of the greatest shooters ever at this point, this still feels like the game where Steph Curry really proved himself to the world. It was February 26, 2016, and the Warriors were playing against the Thunder. This was during the season where they went 73-9, but this was an exciting matchup, considering the Thunder still had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But the one thing that people remember from this game is the 32-foot bomb Steph Curry hit to win the game. But there was also a lot of drama and crazy moments throughout this entire game. He broke 2 3-point records in the same game. He made 12 threes, which tied the record for the most in a game, and it added to the new single season record for threes in a season with 288. Curry would go on to beat this record over and over again, but at the time it was insane. This game was the perfect comeback story for Steph Curry. He had been dealing with ankle injuries pretty much his entire career up to this point, and it was always Steph Curry's kryptonite. And it happened in this game as well. Early into the third quarter, he hurt his ankle and had to leave for a bit, but he was able to work it out and get his ankle good enough to play, which made it even crazier when he continued to go off and win the Warriors the game. And then obviously the buzzer beater we've all seen and remember. This shot is so insane still to this day. He pulled up from 32 feet for game. And as much as people say Steph Curry isn't a clutch shooter, this buzzer beater proves that argument wrong. Steph Curry's teammate just a year later, Kevin Durant, would go on to have his best performance in Game 3 of the 2017 Finals. This was the third straight battle between the Cavs and Warriors, and at this point they were 1-1. But when the Warriors added KD, it was clear who was going to win. He didn't have his greatest scoring performance by any means, only dropping 31 points. But this shot over LeBron James is what makes this game so meaningful to Kevin Durant. Down 2 points with 40 seconds left, Kevin Durant pulls up in LeBron's face with no hesitation and makes it to win the game. This truly felt like KD sending a message to the NBA world that he was the new best player. And what better way to do that than hitting a buzzer beater on the reigning Finals MVP to go up 3-0 in the series. He was playing out of his mind the whole playoffs, and they would end up going back to back. And as much as people hate to say it, this is when Kevin Durant proved how great he was. Next is another Finals performance, but almost 60 years before. The 11-time champion, Bill Russell, had his greatest performance in Game 7 of the 1962 Finals, where he put up stats straight out of 2K, 30 points and 40 rebounds. Yes, you heard that correctly, 40 rebounds in one game, and in Game 7 of the Finals. It was the perfect storm. The Celtics vs the Lakers in a Game 7, one of the biggest rivalries ever, and Bill Russell has his greatest game of his career. After this, he would go on to dominate the 60s, but this still stands out as his greatest performance. When you talk about Bill Russell, you gotta talk about his all-time rival, Wilt Chamberlain. And Wilt's greatest game is a no-brainer. 100 points in one game. It's quite possibly the most iconic individual performance ever. And even though Wilt has a lot of games like this, like 55 rebounds in one game, the 100 ranks at the top. It's almost been 60 years and still nobody has even came close to replicating this. It's such a crazy achievement that people have started making conspiracy theories that the NBA faked this game. That's how impressive this performance was. Larry Bird is one of the greatest players of all time and had many amazing performances to choose from. So instead of me picking, I went off of the game that Larry thought was his best. In an interview, Larry Bird said that he felt like his best game was Game 6 of the 1986 Finals. The Celtics dominated the Rockets this game. Larry Bird dropped 29 points, 12 assists, and 11 rebounds this game as they won the championship. And the way he described it, he felt like he could do anything this night. Nobody was going to stop him from getting a bucket and winning that championship, which is why he looks at this game as his greatest performance. And who am I to argue with the man himself? The next one may seem low, but there's just so many great all-time performances, it's hard to narrow them down. But this game may just be the most iconic. Michael Jordan in Game 6 of the 1998 Finals. his last game as a Chicago Bull, and the last moment we'd ever see this dynasty together. He dropped 45 points and had 4 steals in this game, and at the end hit quite possibly the most iconic shot of all time. The last shot, to win the game and to submit his legacy as the greatest of all time. If he would have ended his career on this game, it would have made for the picture-perfect storybook ending, and then he had to join the Wizards, and we know how that went. We already talked about Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game, and now it's time for Kobe Bryant's 81-point game. When it comes to games that are documented and happened in the last few decades, this is literally the greatest scoring performance we have. On January 22nd, 2006, Kobe and the Lakers were matched up against the Toronto Raptors, and Kobe exploded for 81 points in one game. He couldn't miss this game, getting to his spots and scoring from wherever he wanted. It was truly a masterclass from one of the greatest of all time. He also said in an interview that this was the only game his grandma attended live, and it was the game that he had 81 points, which makes this moment and performance even better. Next is Kobe Bryant's old teammate and old rival, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq is looked at as the most dominant player in NBA history, and he proved that in Game 2 of the 2001 Finals. They were down 1-0 in the series after Allen Iverson went off in Game 1. And this was prime Shaq. Nobody on the 76ers was going to stop him this game. He finished the game with 28 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, and 8 blocks. Almost a quadruple double in one of the most important games of his career. This is one of the most impressive stat lines in NBA Finals history. He was dominant the whole season, and they ended up winning the series and becoming back-to-back champions, and then they went on to three-peat the year after. All the pressure on, and he responded with almost a quadruple double in the finals. And out of all of Shaq's dominant performances, this one ranks at the top. Magic Johnson is considered by many as the greatest point guard of all time. But his greatest performance didn't come at the point guard position. It was at center in his rookie year. In Game 6 of the 1980 Finals, Kareem had gotten injured and they needed another center. So Magic Johnson stepped up and decided to play center during Game 6, and he dropped 42 points and 15 rebounds to help the Lakers win the title. It's one of the most unforgettable performances in NBA history for a rookie Magic Johnson to step up and do what he did at a position he's never really played at before. It showed what kind of player Magic was, and after this he went on to have one of the best careers ever. And finally, the greatest individual performance from any NBA legend ever came from LeBron James in 2012. In the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, he was matched up against the Boston Celtics. And at this point in LeBron's career, he was already respected as an all-time great, but he had no championships yet. And he was coming off a terrible performance in the 2011 Finals. And he was down 3-2 to the team that had beaten him many times before back when he was with the Cavs. All the pressure was on LeBron this game. His legacy was on the line, and with his back against the wall, he responded, scoring 45 points and 15 rebounds and 5 assists on the Celtics. He was in the zone this game and truly unstoppable. He was calm, composed, and focused, scoring from wherever he wanted to. The Celtics just did not have an answer for him. He came out guns blazing and didn't let off the gas one time. This game meant so much to his career, and his legacy might be a lot different today had they lost. And it's, in my opinion, the greatest performance from any legend in NBA history. Let me know your guys' picks and what you all think in the comments below, but that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching, and with that being said, I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next one.